It all began when Dr. Monisha Behel and Dr. Roshmi Goswami engaged in conversation with women from rural and urban areas of Northeast India. They listened to their stories, struggles, and aspirations, mobilizing them into action. In 1995, this gave rise to Northeast Network.
Northeast Network is an organization that some of us brought up to address the issues of the Northeast region. I was a part of the women's movement in 1980s. 1980s, there was so much commotion, there was so much of the women's movement was going on in different metropolises. And then I said to myself, how is it that very little is happening in Assam, which is my home state? The women were very strong during the national movement in the 1930s and 40s. 1980s, we have come to 1980s, but how is it that the women's organizations in Assam or in the Northeast are not really coming to a certain platform? Why is it not happening? And this is why I realized that we need to address the women's issues in a different way.
From the very beginning, NAN made sure that women's voices were heard from local to global platforms. We stand with community women, farmers, weavers, vendors, home-based workers, survivors of violence, low-income migrant workers, youth and adolescents.
Initial years of Northeast Network, to talk about that, one has to also think, recall the Beijing conference time. There were several world conferences that were taking place on women's issues. Every 5 years, in fact, they were meeting. The Beijing conference in 1995 was the fourth world conference. Monisha and Roshmi by that time had also joined in this process. They tried to identify grassroots issues of concerns which can be impacted in the policy.
Impact of conflict on the lives of women. We did a workshop in China, in Beijing, not in Beijing but in Huairou, where the NGO forum was. I was very, very nervous for the first time in an international forum to conduct a workshop and to conduct a discussion on the issues of conflict, which were also very political, very contested, and all of that. But we brought those issues, we brought critical issues onto the national stage. So that's what I think that NEN's process of mobilizing, it was really the first secular effort in Northeast India.
So reproductive health and rights, we always look at from the rights perspective, has always been the focus of Northeast Network in those early years. And even now, of course, I think we still carry the rights banner, the women's rights banner.
So the Northeast Network first came in touch with the people of Chizami when Monisha, one of the founding members, came here to do a survey on health. The Chizami Women Health Center focused on women's reproductive health in the initial 3 years.
When I had joined Northeast Network, I had joined as a field worker. So Monisha Behel, fondly called Ben Baido, had given me a responsibility to mobilize young people in a village called Harikati in Sonitpur district. We were trained on issues of gender, trained on issues of violence. Then we also looked at health. And we started doing a lot of community work, but we were also building capacities of young people around those issues and to ensure that it was done from a very rights-based perspective.
A lot of skill enhancement programs came. A lot of other programs on environment was initiated, and that's the time when we also got the land from the community, the Positive Thinking Center. So we have started that resource center. It was a long journey.
It's very important to build feminist leadership at the grassroots level. Otherwise, without which we are not able neither to sustain our organization nor the feminist movement. We met with a group of young women from various districts in Assam. So we started off by training them on issues of gender, then looking at legal rights of women. And in doing that, we started mobilizing women to become collectives in their own villages. Finally, it became very important to have a formal space, and that led to the establishment of the Gramin Mahila Kendras, the village women's centers in 6 districts of Assam today.
2004, 5, 6, 7 were actually milestones for me also. Started working very closely with the government system because it was that belief that they are accountable. We started working wholeheartedly with the police department, health department, and in that circle, the Meghalaya Commission, Women's Commission, Social Welfare, Labour Department was also much into it.
Over the years, we have reached significant milestones, expanding our work to launch an enterprise for women's livelihood and Green Hub to empower young storytellers documenting change.
So we have our community mobilizers who are responding to cases of gender-based violence, conducting door-to-door visits, and seek redressal mechanisms for survivors of gender-based violence against women. And we've also set up 3 community support centers, 2 in East Khasi Hills and 1 in East and West Khasi Hills. And these community support centers act as safe spaces for women survivors of violence to receive emotional support and to also come together.
To promote gender justice and equality, we are working with several women collectives in local communities to enhance their participation and decision making and leadership in local governance. Here we are building their capacities and their skills to be able to participate effectively and be part of the community development. We are also working to foster sustainable livelihoods and economic empowerment with focus on women, whereby we are supporting women's economic independence, regenerative livelihoods, and traditional seed varieties, biodiversity, and so on.
In NAN's 30 years of journey towards achieving gender equality, NAN has always believed that it is important to also get male counterparts to be part of the movement. However, the kind of response was not what we had anticipated. And that is when we felt that instead of engaging men, it will be fruitful if we would be able to engage young boys and girls to shape their minds and change the perspective. So with that objective in mind, we were able to form a Midani Youth Collective, which has more than 100 active members now.
তেওঁলোকক আমি সৃষ্টিশীল মাধ্যমৰ জৰিয়তে কেনে ধৰণৰে এই বিষয়সমূহৰ ওপৰত
তেওঁলোকৰ নিজৰ নিজৰ গাঁওসমূহত নিজৰ লগৰ ল'ৰা ছোৱালীবিলাকৰ মাজত সজাগতা সৃষ্টি কৰিব পাৰে তাৰ কাৰণে আমি তেওঁলোকক প্ৰশিক্ষণ দি আহিছোঁ আমাৰ বাবে আটাইতকৈ ভাল লগা আৰু গৌৰৱৰ কথাটো হৈছে যে মৃদান ইউথ কালেক্টিভৰ সদস্যসকলে নিজৰ লগতে তেওঁলোকৰ লগৰ বন্ধু বান্ধৱীকো একগোট কৰিব পাৰিছে আৰু সমাজত ঘটি থকা বিভিন্ন ধৰণৰ লিংগভিত্তিক বৈষম্য আৰু নিৰ্যাতনৰ বিৰুদ্ধে তেওঁলোকে মাত মাতিছে তেওঁলোকে জাগি উঠিছে
অনাগত দিনত ভৱিষ্যতে মোৰ এইটোৱে আশা যে নতুন প্ৰজন্ম যিখিনি গাঁৱৰ যিখিনি নতুন প্ৰজন্ম তেওঁলোকক যাতে এখন নতুন সমাজ দিব পাৰোঁ নেনৰ জৰিয়তে
হৈছে মই কথা ক'বলৈ শিকিছোঁ আৰু দ্বিতীয় অভিজ্ঞতাটো হৈছে মই গুৱাহাটীলৈ নিজৰ ঘৰৰ পৰা অকলে আহিব পৰা হৈছোঁ আৰু আগতে মানে সেইখিনি সাহস নাছিলে এতিয়া সেইখিনি সাহস হৈছে নেনৰ লগত থাকি
community zone dao bhatot sphere ke ji neni teli ekets bhatot soni po me weni ker community se we ka ko thi ker sera behizorai mechin ha papu hi awo women society oni zohni bebe ker dao
because like each and everything whatever when after nen was introduced to my community like all the women are coming to my house
NEN is an organization that most of my community is very much aware of, and any initiative that may come our way, we will always welcome NEN with an open arms.
Today, our journey continues. As we look ahead, we carry with us the spirit of those first conversations of women sharing, questioning, and leading change.